Fuck off. And again, fuck off. That's a hat trick. Fuck off.
Hey everyone, it's your boy Sandman, and I'm back here for a while. Yes, if you have seen a couple of my latest videos, I have been a bit slow, but still posting, sort of. But at the same time, if you have seen my Discord and know my situation, I'm with a friend for a while. But at the same time, it does require me, and I'm a bit off. And I'm a bit off for now, so the videos will be a bit much slower and a bit more icky for a while, but I'll do my best. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Content, check out my Twitch, because even though it may not have the same content I posted earlier on in the months in which I had something to post involving, let's say, COD or FIFA. Currently, if you have seen also my Twitch again, you'll know that some of my gaming apps have to be updated, but surprisingly not any of my other apps. But that's also because of the Apple Pay situation, if you know that. But anyway, today will be a more critical breakdown of the Sandman Audible story that I have shown you on Twitch, and also I have a review on it on my channel. So once again, check on Sandman Report, just scroll down. Anyway, if you see my video, it was more of what I learned off of the series rather than the series itself. So this video, I'll be breaking down the Sandman, Morpheus, his family, and also the characters surrounding Dream that make Dream, but well, when I say make Dream, interact with the Dream. So I may miss a couple for the simple reason that I'm sure I've only listened to a couple parts now, because I used to listen to it a bit more, like around 4 to 5 times completely through, more so in June all the way up around to March. Mainly because I simply had a place, and since I'm now off, well, not really on one, it mostly has to require me to listen to one at a time. But here we go. So who exactly is Morpheus or Dream? So technically, in terms of description on how Audible described it through the Sandman series, he's a conception, he or she. But at the same time, the entity more so describes himself as a he. He is a living concept, or one of the few concepts that, of course, go with the letter D of, well, have to do with what, let's say, creation derives itself on, and it derives itself off of. So familiar to death, one of the strongest of the endless, for the simple reason that it's a living concept. Of course, if you go all the way down to, let's say, Father Time, or no, what's the word, Endless Night, or Queen of the Night, basically their parents, I'm not really able to describe them for some reason that they're not mentioned more often, but I'm pretty sure it's Mother Night. My bad. But at the same time, his entire family derives off of death, dream, destruction, despair, desire, and delirium. Of course, the prodigal son is also destruction, and if you see, like, let's say, the children of chaos, or the god of destruction finishes roof, all the way to our good old boy Darkseid, you know that those three specifically obviously derive off of that specific member of the Endless. But back to Dream, yes, those are his family, and of course, Dream and Desire have their own little beef in terms of, let's say, the concepts of Dream and Desire basically are no different. In terms of Dream, in more so of basing off of desire of what a certain individual wants. Of course, if you go on to, let's say, how a certain character, our boy, the Morning Star, Lucifer, would also do it, mainly through the desire section than with death section. But at the same time, with the Endless, they're pretty much endless, even though a certain entity is capable of wiping them out. And once again, it isn't once again just the writer himself, because if you know how the presence goes, if the presence goes out, the creation goes out. So there's no point of the Endless, because they're living concepts, not just your regular old entities or old gods, as Martian Manhunter described. But anyway, throughout the entire series, once again, as I've said multiple times, Dream has had many experiences through different people in order not only to regain his lost items, to when he was somehow caught by old wizards in the 1908 in terms of the DC comics, and well got caught, trapped, tortured, well, trapped and tortured wise in terms of unable to use any of his power, but of course could access it through Sleeping Guard's dream and escape. But the problem is, which people who are power skillers or just very observant, even if you're not really a DC fan, is how did Dream Entity get caught by a bunch of low level 60 Raid Shadow Legend wizards, which you already know, a level 60 mage is nothing compared to what even Succubi if you've played Raid Shadow Legends. But what I'm trying to say is that very similar. If you've seen my John Constantine Twitch stream, if you see the demon that told John Constantine he's unable to open the gates of hell because doesn't have the power, then I'm pretty sure level 60 wizards are unable to catch Dream, right? Not without outside help. Later on, in the Sandman series, Volume One, which I'm currently in viewing, it later gets described that Desire was the one pulling the strings in order for that to happen. But at the same time, it wasn't vividly reviewed until later on in terms of when Dream has to sacrifice a human in order to take out the vortex inside of said human of a vortex of dreams. Even though, in terms of when a certain reality was collapsed and Dream had to explain that, there were a lot of weird things in terms of how that happened and how it even occurred and how Desire had the abilities or the strings to pull it along with Despair. Of course, you can just say that there are concepts of it to pull it through certain dreams that linked to Despair more that they link because Dream and Desire in terms of the concept are not really different. I mean, heck, even Death said that Dream is no different or worse. But anyway, since they're all living concepts, concepts that have their own thoughts in a way, even though in terms of their function, which Dream constantly bangs on about, it's not necessarily described as it is described as, let's say, his meaning or purpose. Even though when it comes to, let's say, Death, who's at the end of Volume 1, describes that she's just the way she is, whether she's described as kind or cruel. But also for my power skillers, and besides, I enjoy it, so fuck it, I'll bring it in. The funny thing is that if you see my SPN power scaling, and I was comparing this Death to the SPN Death, it was more clear cut that she was omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, which is obvious because Death is everywhere. The concept wise, the living concept, and its exit. What was subtly confusing was that since she is a concept, the problem is that she's part of the endless. When it goes to the character of a certain entity, once again Lucifer is a factor here, capable of taking out all of the endless, which I won't deny he is, but even Death, that one was a bit confusing because he actually did quote unquote die in the comics, but at the same time his time to die hasn't come, and since he sort of accepted that fate, basically Death had to pretty much obey the order of when he was to, and since these object outside of the plan, which means the whole concept of, let's say, desire, the concept of even death or destruction, is really to follow him, but in the way as he describes it to the presence or Yahweh, it's desire is more so described as something that is something that people would like to have but can't have, but so straightforward, much different than greed or gluttony. Very because because as he describes it, it's mainly for the simple fact of you can actually live, or if you switch out switch on his name, lived devil, something around that. But as for the whole concept of back to where the whole living concept, even to where dream is involved, let's move on a bit more to not just him as himself, but also the characters he interacts. Let's take this familiar human girl that Dream saves, and who just happens to be the vortex, and the suffering her family goes through. The problem or the scenario around with that is more around first described as a vortex. Her brother is being tortured by, well, not really tortured, but hopes through entire process of forced adoption. Somehow, because of an event through her mom's grandmother, and if we've seen the first chapter, which I've seen multiple times, of when the mother uh, didn't really have them. She pretty much got raped and just had the mother of the of the two that you'll see later on. When it came to that, that was how it is. When it comes to our buddy John Constantine and his interaction, yes, this is John Constantine for a lot of things, but he's still John Constantine at the end of the day. Because if you've seen the movie of John Constantine, it's John Constantine every single day. But as for all of that, as for let's say the last couple characters, let's say beings that are obviously lower than Dream, he's still the way he interacts is almost no different to the way he interacts with, let's say, the Hecate. Even though and where their ranking is in terms of let's say an outer versal spectral being that is above the presence, but that whole argument will come in soon. Basically, regardless of her being much more knowledgeable, stronger than the Endless, still has to comply to the rules and give Dream what he desires. And in terms of how his spots were taken and everything to go through it, it's still a very interesting process for a simple reason that these are Dream's things. So I'm pretty sure a simple snap of his fingers, they would all come back to him. But unfortunately, that's not how his abilities work because it's all spread throughout all his three tools that he has described. And once again, the entire process is a very interesting, intriguing process of chapter 1 to chapter 2 to chapter 3, 4, 5, and 6. All the way to the 24 hours, which was described as the most haunting one. I agree, but at the same time, it is very intriguing if you just sit down and listen to the point that it becomes enjoyable. I know, sick. But anyway, where do I end this video? Well, I'll just wrap it up. When it comes to the whole concept of Dream, and yes, it may not be as totally in depth as some people would have preferred it to be. For let's say his the way he interacts with a certain person, William Shakespeare, all the way down to when he did a thousand dreams, a cat's thousand dreams, and how belief impacts the dreams, all the way to how William Shakespeare created one of his first. Once again, these are interactions with Dream because he's a living concept, not just a regular entity that everyone knows. He's a concept in terms of how the DC world is made throughout, cause of a concept or one of seven. But anyway, to end it off, the one thing, if you're to take away from the Sandman series, is that when it comes to the whole concept of Dream, sure, it may be a calming concept, and in my point of view, when it comes to him being standing up for hope, don't forget that Dream inevitably dies. This is around volume 2 to 3. Of course, Lucifer was the one that was supposed to take responsibility for that one, but he did it in another way that inevitably ended up in Dream dying. But overall, in terms of hope, yes, it is required in hell in terms of hell. All of that, as it is described, is more so described as a tool that it can go on as long as it wants, but it cannot truly be destroyed because of how it is used throughout. Let's say, life in general, in terms of striving, not, but also very similar to how desire works, and how it's just a want. But anyway, it's been your boy Sandman.
Maybe you should pull the fucking trigger.
Pull the